Hey y'all, before we get rolling, if you run a nonprofit, this is for you. Comfy Stone just released a free 90-day donor retention checklist to help you keep more donors through authentic storytelling. Get your copy at comfystone.com/checklist or click the link in our show notes. Now let's dive into this week's episode.
Missions by
Hey y'all, welcome to Missions by You. I'm Brenna Gorshow here with Maya McGee and Sarah Barnett. Sarah Barnett is the nonprofit marketing coordinator at Gulf Coast Bank, a community bank in Southeast Louisiana that hosts auctions in August, an annual online auction benefiting nonprofits. Welcome to Missions by You, Sarah.
Thanks so much for having me, y'all.
We're so excited to have you. Starting off, can you tell us what is Auctions in August and why it's important to Gulf Coast Bank?
For sure. Well, you really encapsulated it. It's a month-long online auction. And essentially, we invite the public, business owners, nonprofits, churches, schools, just community members in general to donate items. We handle all of the logistics of auctioning them off in the month of August. And then whoever donates an item gets to pick which nonprofit receives all of the funds from that particular item. So it's a really great way to help out organizations kind of in the midst of that giving slump that we really hit in the summer, kind of help them with some of that momentum, and help just with, an extra boost in their fundraising throughout the year.
Very cool. And Gulf Coast Bank's role in the auctions, how did that come about? This is pretty unique for a bank, I would say.
It is. It's interesting when I tell people I work for a bank, they're like, that's confusing. And I'm like, oh, no. Let me explain. So back in 2008, our then president, he's now our chairman and CEO, said, I really want to find a creative way to support nonprofits. Let's host this auction. Let's see what we can do with it. And so it's just grown and grown ever since. And so this will be our 18th year doing it. In the process, we've raised almost $1.7 million for hundreds of nonprofits around the country, but mostly here in the community. And so it's just really exciting to be a part of something so different for a bank to be involved in.
Totally. Yeah, that is very cool. What kind of items are usually put up for sale or for auction?
It really runs the gamut. It's a really cool opportunity for people to get really creative, for organizations' boards to get really creative about what they have access to, what's available to them. So, you have your typical gift certificates, gift cards to local businesses, but then things get really interesting. Last year we had a vintage Mardi Gras headdress, just this massive 4-foot feather plumed intense piece with no information on it. So I spent a very long time digging into it. I was in touch with the folks at the Cabildo. I was in touch with Arthur Hardy, trying to figure out, who might have owned this.
History
exactly.
behind it. Yeah.
We think it came from one of the first all-women crews. And so just this really amazing piece of history. So sometimes we have things like that. And then, we have experiences that people donate. So, let's say a board member has a boat and they want to take people out on a great boat ride on the lake. Or sometimes people will donate tickets to sporting events, Saints games, music events. We had some really cool VIP experiences at some of our local festivals last year that were put in the auction. Just some really unique, one-of-a-kind stuff that you're not going to find anywhere else.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Was the headpiece 4 feet wide or 4 feet tall?
It was both. It was
my God.
massive. Of course, I put it on myself. I took several pictures.
You'll have to show us that
It
after
was
this.
so heavy and intense, but it also had a name written on the chin strap of it too. So we were able to dig in a little more and find out a little more info. And it was just this really unique peach color with all these beautiful pieces on it. It was the woman who won it is a collector and is just absolutely obsessed with Carnival. And so she was like, I don't know where I'm going to put it, but I knew I needed to own it. And I was like, okay, well, you outbid me. So I guess it's going to a good home. I guess we're fine with that. But it's just really, really creative stuff that comes through the door.
I was hoping you were going to say the woman that won it was just going to wear it to Mardi Gras. I was like, so am I going to see her at the events?
She may try to make that work at some point. I mean, she has a stronger set of shoulder muscles than I do. If she can, though, it's pretty hefty.
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
I was able to attend. It's like an open house kind of thing you guys have, and I think you guys do a really good job. Or the not whoever the nonprofits Gulf Coast does a really good job of listing really unique events, and I think it gives everyone an opportunity of like anything you can get can be listed. It doesn't have to be like some super expensive piece of art.
Exactly.
Like you can think outside of the box for the
That's so
experience.
cool.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of my favorite parts about the auction. We host this in-person event one night where, yes, everything's listed online, but sometimes it's hard to get the idea of just how big some of these things are, what it really looks like. And so we'll host this event. We'll have a piece representing every nonprofit, tons of stuff out there. And then we also invite our nonprofit leaders to come and attend the event. That way, when people are looking around, they can also put a face to the mission that they're reading about and say, oh, this is an amazing, cool thing I want to bid on, but also how amazing is it that this is what my money is going towards? So, really kind of adding to that gravitas of it all.
So how can nonprofits get involved?
Well, we have kind of a rhythm. There are several phases of the auction. So starting in June, once we get past Give NOLA Day and everybody takes a breath, we open up pre-registration, and that's a chance for organizations to sign up and say, yes, we want to participate, whether that means they are going to be collecting items on their own, or they just want to make sure that their name is on that list of options when people go to fill out the form to donate an item. And so it's a really simple online form. We blast it out to all of our contacts. We put it out on social media. We encourage people to share. And so that's a great way for organizations to kind of get their foot in the door. And then we start a really simple training process. We'll do a couple Zoom calls where we just get on there and answer any questions folks might have, talk them through what the process looks like, and then give them some tips on how to really leverage this to the best possible advantage.
You said that since its inception, hundreds of nonprofits have participated, but
Yes.
yearly, how many usually participate?
We have been working to really grow that number. So last year we had around 165 organizations participating with us.
Wow.
So most of those are local. A lot of them, they came to us and said, hey, we really want to be a part of this. And then occasionally we would have someone call up and say, hey, I'm a business owner. I want to donate this item. I don't even know who I want to benefit from it. Can you help me figure that out? And so helping folks figure that out as well. And then occasionally we'll have, some of the bigger nationwide nonprofits get added to the list, which is great too. It's another fun way to support them.
That is way more than I thought you were going to say. So that means that there's about 165 items, or do some people contribute more than one?
So we typically end up with around 1,000 items. And now some of those are digital. So it's like a gift certificate or, I'm going to transfer tickets, that kind of thing. But the majority of them are physical items that come through the door at the office I work out of. And so we babysit all the things and organize all the things. And again, that's a really big part of what Gulf Coast offers these organizations, is that we handle all of the logistics. So it comes through the door. We process it. We make sure it matches the listing. We do our best to research as much as we can about it. We photograph it. We store it. And then when the time comes, we hand it off to the right person.
Wow, this is such a unique endeavor.
It really is.
This is also so much work, and it's such a lift for our local nonprofits.
And that's our hope, that it can help, because for a lot of the organizations that participate, they're smaller organizations. Mm-hmm. It's a team of one, it's a team of four. They don't have the capability to really take on a really big, hefty project like this. And so if we can assist in any way, that's always something that we want to help them do.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any favorite success stories through the years?
We've had a couple smaller organizations that utilize this as their main fundraising event for the entire year. And so the first time that I really took on this kind of management role with the auction, I met this woman and her sister, and they are part of a couple nonprofits in the city, but the one that they are mainly focused on works with teens in the schools to prevent suicide. And so they have all kinds of like trainings that they offer. They also do scholarships for students and just really, really cool stuff. And they utilize this as their main fundraiser. And so they are able to bring in a really sizable chunk of money. And so these two women work they work all year long to gather items and put gift baskets together and really reach out to every contact they can get. And then they hand it off to us and we take care of the rest. And so to be able to come alongside an organization, come alongside these women that are doing such important work with these teenagers in our community, like it blows me away that I get to be a part of that. That's just really cool that in a small way I get to come alongside them and do that with them.
Wow. Yeah, I'm hearing like the lift that is required for something like this. Some of these nonprofits would probably not be able to have this level of event.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and on top of the fundraising aspect, it's also a chance for them to really get some exposure.
Mm-hmm.
So, for an entire month, their organization's name and a link to their website is listed on our website. The amount of traffic that comes through on our website in the midst of the auction is pretty huge. And so to have your name out there and then have in-person events where people get to meet you and hear about what you do, that's something that I'm so encouraged that Gulf Coast is really committed to.
Right. And a lot of the nonprofits you said are local, but are the buyers, are the people who are donating, are they nationwide?
It depends. For the most part, they are within kind of that South Louisiana, Alabama, Florida, a little bit of Mississippi along the Gulf Coast. Occasionally, we'll have some other organizations that just sort of stumble upon us, and so they end up participating. But for the most part, they are local. And then a lot of our bidders are also local. A couple of years ago, we had a very large band that had donated some items to a New Orleans-based nonprofit, and that brought in lots and lots of bids from outside of our community, which was really great because they put it on their own social media. And so, when a massive rock band that's been around for 30 years is going to post about you on social media, naturally that's going to pick things up a little bit. So that was really exciting. But yeah, a lot of it comes from the local community, and it's the folks who are bidding, the people who are donating, but also the people who are bidding. It just gives them a really unique way to connect with the nonprofits. And so a lot of times they really appreciate, not only did I get this good deal on an item, but yeah, thanks for telling me about this organization. I want to connect with them further.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
Real quick, guys, did you know it can cost up to 7 times more to find a new donor than to keep one you already have? That's why at Comfy Stone, we created a free 90-day donor retention checklist. It's simple, step-by-step guide that shows you exactly what to do after someone donates. From how to thank them to how to tell stories that keep them engaged and giving all year long. You can grab your free copy at comfystone.com/checklist or click the link in our show notes. All right, let's get back to the show.
That lift, I also think of like nonprofits who might have just a singular item. It's not enough to like do a whole auction, but this gives them that opportunity of like, like that, piece, that instrument you just mentioned, right? Like, oh, I can just put it in auctions in August and get all the exposure I need on it without having to do that work myself. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you can kind of tiptoe into more, like doing more in the next years because you know the process, and it's not like you just have to deep dive one year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Take
Yeah.
a bite out of it instead of trying to eat the whole frog at once, for sure.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, we've had several people come to us and say, look, thank you for helping me get started with this. Now that I understand how it all goes and I've seen what the bidders are really liking and that kind of thing, this helps me figure out what to plan for next year and how to get my board involved and how to get my supporters involved. So yeah, it's really cool to be able to see that growth with some of our organizations.
That is so cool.
On that note, what do you think does really well for nonprofits? Like, is there certain types of auction items they should try to get? Any tips you have for nonprofits?
That's a really good question. It's hard to pinpoint because sometimes we'll have items come through the door and I'm like, oh, I don't know if this is going to go anywhere. And next thing you know, it's just really taken off. Restaurant gift cards, we're such a food-centered city. And even our organizations that are coming to us from across the Gulf Coast, food is so important to all of those communities as well. And so restaurant gift cards always fly. Those always do really, really well. But then sometimes those really, really unique items, like honestly, I didn't know what that headdress was going to look like when it came to bidding. And it really took off like very, very quickly. And so things that are really eye-catching are always really great. Things that are a little unique that maybe you can't find somewhere else. An experience that maybe is not something you can just book on your own. Those always do really well as well.
Yeah. I would lean towards an experience as a bidder for sure.
Oh, yeah.
That's just so cool.
Yeah. So how can people get involved? How can they support Auctions in August?
Well, there's a couple different ways. Obviously, donating items is always really, really helpful. We start collecting items very end of June, beginning of July. So really that month of July is our big push to collect items. And then bidding and sharing the word. If they know someone who's in the nonprofit world, getting the word out to them, attending the in-person event, and really helping kind of encourage those organizations that show up and that kind of thing. It's a great opportunity to really have kind of a hands-on approach to the nonprofit world, especially if that's not necessarily where you are in your life ordinarily.
Are there any requirements for nonprofits who want to participate?
Well, it's really important for that our organizations know that as much as we would love to bank all of the nonprofits in our communities, that you don't have to bank with us to participate in the auction. Any nonprofit, any 501c3 can really join and be a part of the work. And so we always want to make sure that folks know that those barriers are not there, that they are welcome to participate even if they don't bank with us.
That's wonderful. So Sarah, I know that Gulf Coast Bank works with nonprofits in other ways outside of Auctions in August. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'd love to. Well, on our banking side of things, so in the retail department, they work alongside nonprofits to really help make it as easy as possible with their banking, providing them some really great opportunities as far as checking and fees and all the things that come with all of that. They try to make that as seamless as possible, which is really great. When you've got all of the other things that pile up, running a nonprofit, the finances can be, a bit of a beast. So helping navigate that. And then we try to be out in the community as much as possible. For us, we're a community bank. A lot of that label comes from the size of bank that we are. But for us, it really comes from the mission and the heart of what we do. We want to make sure that we are investing in the communities where we are, want to make sure that we are helping lift those organizations, lifting up those communities, because when the community is stronger, then obviously all of our businesses are stronger as well. And so you will find us out at school fairs, at festivals, constantly out in the community. We try to keep up with it a little bit with photographs that roll in, but we've got departments out in the community all the time, especially in the spring and the fall with all the festivals. Trying to think what else. We also do a lot of work in the financial literacy and the financial access area. So making sure, first-time home buyers know how to navigate that world, making sure that we're hitting up our communities, making sure that they know, okay, what's my first step to opening a bank account? Where do I go from there? Who do I walk in and speak to at a branch? That kind of thing. And so doing those kinds of classes with different community partners is really, really important to us. Working with some of our communities that may have had less access before in financial institutions. So folks coming out of incarceration, people like that, making sure that they know what's available to them, what options they have. Because again, we want to make sure that our communities are thriving and are as strong as possible.
Yeah, that is so important. A lot of financial literacy is really obscure to the everyday person, especially those reentering from after incarceration.
Yeah.
Where do you even find those resources? Where do you even start? And so you're really giving them a pathway that they can walk themselves. And it doesn't seem like it would be too daunting to enter that world, whether you're 18 and just starting a bank account or you're, you're bouncing back into the next step of your life.
Yeah, exactly.
We usually taper off the show with a fun question.
Okay.
So this one, you can take as much time as you need because as a thinker, what's your most prized possession that's just special to you?
Oh, that is tricky.
Mm-hmm. We can give you a minute to think.
Yeah,
Do you have one that you can think of?
I had one. I was going to say old items from my grandmother, but I realized that I feel like that's a little bit cheating because it is special to other people too. So I thought again, and I said, this is kind of left field after saying my grandmother's closing, my immersion blender.
Did it come from your grandma?
No, it came from my sister. It is my favorite appliance. I love it so much. I think it means a lot to me because it was like one of my first fancier appliance, like kitchen appliances. Like started me being like, all right, well now I want fancier and fancier things in the kitchen. So it means a lot to me.
Yeah,
because it's from her, and like now it's just elevated my cooking.
Wow, that is so funny. My immersion blender came from my grandma.
Did it?
Yeah. I love my immersion blender.
Hand me down immersion blenders.
Seriously.
I mean, they're super
Seriously.
handy. They're
They are.
super useful.
They
So that
really
makes
are.
sense.
And you do feel like a fancy French chef when you're using them.
All of a sudden, it's just like the chimichurris, the
Yes!
sauces, everything is just
The sauces.
yeah.
I have a really I'm a very devoted collector of like quilts and crocheted blankets that I thrift. Some of them were made by people I know, and those are obviously very special, but like just the ones that I find at a thrift store or at a little market or something, like a flea market, I have no idea who made them. I have no idea like what their history is, but you can tell someone handmade them. They're so special to me. And it's so hot here. There's no way I'm using 5 crocheted blankets at once, but like I do keep them, and I really, really love them.
That's cool. It's like you're giving them a second life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, that's really special.
Mhm.
So mine, I mean, it's quirky and strange, and I don't even know the actual name for it, but I grew up calling it the onion head. And it's this weird, like, 1950s, 1960s kitchen decoration. It's plastic. My great-grandmother and a distant cousin that we called Aunt also had one in her kitchen. So each of these women had one. I spent a lot of time in both of those kitchens growing up. The onion heads were always very special to me. It is quirky and strange. Well, both of those disappeared over time, Katrina, et cetera, et cetera. But I found one recently. Actually, it was around my birthday last year. I found one online. And, you know, when you don't even know what it's called, like typing an onion head in the internet gets you some weird results. But I found this one on Etsy and it was like, buy now, instant purchase. And so now it sits on our little counter in the kitchen. And it's a plastic plant pot, and it has a stalk that comes up. And there's this white onion bulb on the top with big eyelashes and eyes and like red lips. And then it has little plastic vegetables at the bottom. So altogether, it's only about this big, really small around, but onion head was so meaningful to me. I'm not really sure why I connected with it so much as a kid, but I just loved the onion heads in these kitchens, but then was never able to inherit either one of those. And so to be able to find one on my own after years of searching. And so now onion head lives on in our kitchen.
Wow.
With her
Well,
red
she's
lips.
next generation.
Yeah, exactly. My daughter thinks
Yeah.
it's the coolest. So, you know.
She does sound like a diva. Like she's got
She
her
really
eyelashes. She has her lipstick on.
She's ready. She's ready.
I love that.
Yeah.
Gorgeous little mannequin.
Well, Sarah, where can people find auctions in August online? And are there any important dates that they should know about?
Great question. So we try to keep it as simple as possible. So auctionsinaugust.com is our website. And we'll have all the information loaded there, all the links that you need. We start pre-registration in June, so June 1st. We do item collection in July, and then the auction itself runs August 1st through the 31st. So it's a real adventure for a couple months. It's a great ride. Get to meet lots and lots of nonprofits, and we would love to expand that number and bring in even more organizations.
Fabulous. Thank you so much for joining us. And
Thanks
sharing
for
this
having me,
information.
y'all.
Yeah, this is wonderful.
Thanks for listening to Missions Bayou, powered by Comfy Stone. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow the podcast wherever you listen. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and drop a comment, letting us know your thoughts and who you'd like to hear from next. We'll see y'all next time.